Okay, so Hotline Miami 2 is 10 years old. I wanted to get a video out for the anniversary, but I also didn't want to half-ass it, so here you are, a few days late. If you're into modding, or you're very obsessed with the game in general, you probably already know almost all of these facts. But I've noticed that a lot of my viewers don't know a lot about Hotline Miami 2 in general, whether that be its mechanics or its story or its little details, so I thought I'd make this. These are 30 rapid-fire facts, tricks, or little details about Hotline Miami 2 that you might not know. The wiki would have you believe that different melee weapons have different ranges. This is a lie. All melee weapons have the same range but different swinging speed. Slower weapons have a longer attack animation with more frames, which makes it easier to kill enemies nearby, which is why they feel like they have more range, but in truth, they all have the same. If you're killed by multiple dogs, you might leave multiple death sprites from different characters. When you do a throat rip as Jacket while carrying a weapon, your weapon gets the ammo count of that mobster's weapon. If you're having trouble with special enemies, just try circle around them. This applies to fat enemies, dodgers, and even dogs. Characters have different shotgun fire rates, which you've probably noticed, but here's a proper comparison of the important ones. Richter's silenced Uzi still alerts enemies if you're playing as him, even though it's silent for Jacket. All characters are the same speed in Hotline 2 except for Graham, Brandon, and Dallas during the nunchuck attack. This sounds like a given, but YouTube comments disagree. Biker is only faster in Hotline 1, and in Hotline 2 he's the same speed as everyone else. Jake's shower curtains are the American flag. All characters have the same hitbox size, including Jake and Martin. Not setting level borders in your editor levels creates this awkward tile issue, so you should always set borders no matter what. If you press on an empty space in the enemy selection menu, it chooses the dog by default, but the empty middle slot has a talk checkbox. It still places a dog down, but the editor menu shows it as a different character like the talking police idol, or guard who can't normally spawn in. If you try this with the Mafia, it'll place down a broken object which crashes the game if you try to play it. I assume this is a leftover piece of what would have been options for idle police and guards. Your next weapon pickup is always the last weapon that was dropped. You can dodge most gunfire for a while in some circumstances. Shotguns are very easy to dodge. Pistols are manageable, and the rest are a little tougher. Every base level in the game has solid corners on the bottom right of walls, but because of how the level editor places them, most custom bottom right corners are not solid. Richter can break the walls in demolition with the fire axe. The Fame has 20 rounds by default, but the ones dropped by hiding Colombians have 24. The sprites also show them holding the Mendoza. This is probably because they reuse code from soldier hiders who have 24 round AKs. Static and idle police enemies react to gunfire. No other motionless enemy type does this. Punching and right-clicking immediately lets you do a little dance. There's a fifth bunk in the Ghost Wolves camp in Ambush, and while not a fact, it seems somewhat likely that Richter is their fifth member. It would explain the military trophies in his house, how Jacket would know Richter's face before assault, and him being the only person that Jacket spares. He's also got the same bedside supplies. This leads right into the next fact. Richter's bedside supplies locker is identical to the Ghost Wolves, except it's got this strange item on it. Crazy Jaden did some color matching and found that it's the exact same color as the US soldier patch. Color matching has made a couple of interesting connections. For one, the henchman has the exact same skin tone as the Russian soldiers on Beard's maps, implying he might have served in the conflict before working for the father. Richter's got discarded 50 blessings leaflets in his bin that match perfectly in color to the other 50 blessings brochures. And going back to the previous fact, the helmet on Richter's table here has the same color as Beard's armor, a color that's shared among the Ghost Wolves. Pressing space resets a couple of animations and bugs. For example, it flips Martin Brown's left-handedness back to the right. It instantly cancels Tony's punches and Pardo's shotgun flip. The stenographer in the court scene before first trial starts typing when new dialogue plays, and stops after a while until the next line. Just a cool detail. Evan Wright can get a triple combo with an armed ground execution if you press left click to hesitate a second time, followed by a right click to stop the animation and release the body. This lets you get some pretty ridiculous combo numbers. If you kill the last remaining enemy on withdrawal but die as well, you get soft locked since no one is around to drag your body away. Police and prisoner fat enemies die in 2 revolver shots while other fat enemies die in 5. Your character has a hidden amount of HP which lets you tank gunshots, which also resets on an execution. This includes Biker's Fat Kill, Jacket's Throat Rip, and Martin's SWAT Boss Execution. A lot of furniture items have weird properties. This nuclear reactor screen thing can be seen through but not shot through, so enemies will waste all their ammo shooting at it. Meanwhile, this glass table can't be seen through by enemies at all. Mafia mobsters with the M16 will get locked in their search animation if they spot you while doing it, and can no longer attack afterwards. Homicide and Down Under are connected. You can see the gang members stealing stuff in Homicide, which can later be found in Down Under. This also helps the theory that Pardo is just dreaming up all his levels and imagining himself stopping the robbery alone. Hotline Miami 2 has 3 endings. The first ending has Evan choosing to stay with his family, which prompts this TV dialogue and his alternate death scene. The second has Evan choosing to work on his book, which prompts this TV dialogue with an interview and his death alone. He does mention the conspiracy, but doesn't actually have too much to say. And finally, this third ending requires fulfilling prerequisites such as getting Jake's floppy disk, choosing the book in Release's outro, and most likely, grabbing the tape in Richter's room in the subway outro. This unlocks some very rare alternate dialogue during Evan's TV interview. From what I understand, these all have to be done in a single, full playthrough. Following up from this, something we just found out, and something I don't think anyone else has even heard of, is that if you start a new game after getting this secret third ending, and play through the entire campaign, a new level begins right after the credit sequence. There's no level start text and no music, but it looks to be an early version of a White House level, maybe? It's very much unfinished, there's only really one full floor, and the level crashes shortly after. Nonetheless, it's a pretty insane discovery, so here you go. Here's what footage I could get from it before my game crashed. Thank you very much for watching.